Hey guys, I am here to do my final thoughts on Simply Filling, the Shaking It Up with Simply Filling collab wrap-up video, because I wanted to, just go over the past 2 weeks, my thoughts on what happened, kind of how I felt every day, well not every day, but throughout the 2 weeks, and just some random things that happened also during that time, as well as some of my favorite meal and snack ideas that I came about. I'm sorry, I am driving. I was just totally taken up this weekend, so I did not have any time to do it this weekend, and I'm doing it right now for you. So, Simply Filling, you saw my weigh-ins. In 2 weeks, well, the first week I lost 2.4 pounds. The second week I lost 1.8 pounds. So that is a total of 4.2, which for me is amazing. I am typically a slow loser. I'm also kind of, up 0.6, down 0.8, up 0.8, down 0.6. I have some periods of time where my body doesn't do a lot of moving scale-wise, and since the beginning of January, when I had, pressed play and kind of got back into everything, I had started exercising every single day with Bikini Body Mommy, and for some reason my body just was not releasing. I don't know, it was just holding on to weight, I felt like. So I was really excited to do the Simply Filling collab in March, to hopefully get things moving and see some positive reflection on the scale, which of course it did. So 4.2 pounds in 2 weeks is amazing, and I don't feel like that was really water or anything like that. I mean, I don't know. I think that isn't an incredibly huge loss for me to think that, maybe it's mostly water. I think there was some real progress in those numbers. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I couldn't have asked for more as far as, the weight loss is concerned. I will say that the first day that I started Simply Filling, I was really sort of unsure. I remember being hesitant to eat, I let myself get hungry, or too hungry maybe, and I felt like I had done all this mental preparation for it and looking into it, but I hadn't done a lot of preparation as far as actual food, like prepping snacks and things, because I did feel like at that point I needed more snack options, and I just wasn't sure how the rest of the week was going to go. But I think that is a pretty common feeling when you first start Simply Filling, because a lot of the girls on the collab did also have that same experience. The second day, I wrote down my notes here, the second day I have liberating, so easy, eating some of my faves on the plan already, and they were easy to switch to Simply Filling. It was so liberating, because if I was just wanted a snack, let's say if I was cooking dinner and I was in the bad habit of snacking while making dinner, I could just pull a handful of Cheerios out and not be concerned about having to count it, having to budget it out of my points in the day, and just throughout the day, not having to consider that, not having to think, I only have 8 points left for the day, so I have to make sure that I choose foods that are going to give me the most bang for my buck, smart points wise. With Simply Filling, if I wanted yogurt, I would just have yogurt. If I wanted some Cheerios, I'd just have some Cheerios. If I wanted chips and salsa, that's what I would have. Felt like it's very freeing, and I also think you will hear that from a lot of people. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Another note I have is that I was feeling so normal, and I put question mark, because I don't know if that's the right word, but sometimes I think you don't realize you're feeling a certain way until you feel differently. And then you're like, oh wow, like I was walking around, you know, sluggish or tired or sort of bloated. You know, you might be feeling that way, or I was feeling that way, maybe doing Smart Points, but when I was doing Simply Filling, I felt like I wasn't holding on to a lot in my body. I don't know, I just felt normal. That was the best way I could put it, but I felt a difference. I also noticed, I think, a difference in my sleep patterns. I feel like when I was not doing Simply Filling in the second week, where I had switched back and forth between Simply Filling days and Smart Point days, because you can do that on this plan. I wasn't sleeping well the nights of the day that I had done Smart Points. So I don't know if that's something, but I figured I would mention it. Another thing that I wanted to mention, because it is very weird for me, it is a little bit of too much information, and I don't typically like to discuss this on my channel just because it's just something that I don't know. It weirds me out. But I previously, and I've shared this before, I very rarely get the time of the month. Very rarely, because I am extremely sensitive to the birth control, or the hormone in birth control. So I just don't get it. And I have had tests done, I have had ultrasounds done to make sure everything is operating the way it is supposed to, and it is. It's just that my body is extremely sensitive to that hormone. So I noticed when doing Simply Filling that I had some spotting. I can't tell you the last time that happened. So I just thought it was very interesting to note, because I had changed my diet in this way and was doing a lot less processed food. It's a lot more whole foods, and I don't know if it had something to do with it or not. But again, just figured I would mention it because it was something very weird that happened, just out of the blue. Could have been a coincidence, but I kind of don't think it was. So some of my notes about the Smart Point days, I felt hungry all day long. I don't think it was a mental thing. I feel like, I was eating different food on those days. I was eating more of the processed things that I have in my house because they're there and I don't want to waste them. I'm going to eat them up. But I was saving my more Simply Filling options for Simply Filling days, and I really noticed a difference on the Smart Point days. I was just hungrier. I went over my points one day, significantly into my weeklies, and I was just constantly hungry. It was crazy. Some of my favorite snack and meal options. My favorite snack options are popcorn for sure, and I think you're going to hear this a lot throughout the ladies doing the collab. The popcorn, eating 94% fat-free popcorn, that is on Simply Filling, but it's just such a nice evening snack for me. I enjoy popping it and watching a TV show with Chad. Marley, of course, loves to share it with me, so I really liked it. And then I just love popcorn in general. Cheerios is a really quick snack, was awesome. Then I was able to make the tortilla chips Simply Filling. I was able to find the Mission low-fat white corn tortillas. They are Simply Filling. I tried to do as much research as possible on that. And making them into tortilla chips was awesome because I made my own salsa, which is super easy to do. And it was just a great thing to have available, for nights that we made tacos or burritos, or I had my quinoa taco bake that is entirely Simply Filling. It was just a great little additive, and I didn't have to be concerned about how many chips I was eating. But I will say, I didn't feel like I ate a ton. I felt like I ate, maybe 8, and I was good, and I just moved on, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to have an issue going overboard with some things, and I didn't. I said this in my first weigh-in video on Simply Filling, that I really truly feel like doing smart points is very important prior to doing Simply Filling, especially if you don't think you can trust yourself, if you're not sure if overeating is your problem, and you just eat beyond satisfaction, you eat until you're sick full. Doing smart points, learning what portions look like, it was vital, I feel like, when doing Simply Filling, because you portion out your food. You can kind of gauge what's a good portion, put it on your plate, start with that. I never went back for more. I always was perfectly satisfied with what was on my plate. I don't know if that was a mental thing, because in smart points you're thinking, okay, I'm restricted to this serving because it's this many points and I've put it out in my day. Now I know what it is, or I know how many points I have left for things. I don't know if it's that, just switching that, flipping that switch and changing to, this is the portion I'm going to start with, and if I want more, I can go back for more. I just never felt like I needed more. Which was, again, amazing to me. It was not what I was expecting. And something else I wasn't expecting was how easy, doing things like Mexican on Simply Filling is so easy. You can make tacos and make burritos Simply Filling at home and not have an issue with it. I was so surprised. And also to turn recipes into Simply Filling was also very easy. And again, I was not expecting that, but it got me excited to make stuff, and got me excited to find things to make, to try and make them Simply Filling. So another thing I was not expecting, because I don't like to cook. So quickly, some of the meals that I really enjoyed, of course, you saw in my vlogs, were just Greek yogurt, strawberries, Cheerios as used as granola, grits. Quick 5-minute grits. Cooked grits are on Simply Filling, and the way that I made them was so yummy. I did a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, 16 sprays of I Can't Believe It's Not Butter spray for 0 points, so it's not Simply Filling, but it's not counted, and then some salt, and it was so good. Very filling, a very satisfying breakfast for me. Very tasty. I also love the high fiber English muffins by Thomas's. I do not like the light version. Those are on Simply Filling. The high fiber is also on Simply Filling. So I've said this before in my vlogs. If you are an English muffin connoisseur, go for the high fiber. Don't even bother with the light ones, because they're just gummy, and I couldn't get past it. So I'm glad high fiber was also on the list. Some lunch. For lunch I had a lot of some sort of meat and refried bean burritos or wraps. They're so good. I love refried beans, and the fact that you can have them and not have to count them. Fat-free refried beans. And then you could add taco meat or chicken that you've pre-prepped, or that you've prepped, is awesome. It was so good. I had a lot of my leftover quinoa taco bake for lunches. It's a good recipe, and I'm so happy that all of us, that we got some Cook With Me's up for Simply Filling recipes, because they're going to be awesome tools to have if anybody's just going to start Simply Filling. I'm really glad that we have some recipes out there that are delicious and will work entirely Simply Filling and be low in points. Actually, mine was low in points. I know Jess did a lot that were low in points. So yes. So my favorite dinners were, my favorite one hands down was cheeseburgers and french fries. Like, I don't know why I avoided it with Smart Points. Actually, no, I do know why I avoided it with Smart Points. You have to count everything on that burger. You have to count the roll or whatever you put it on. You have to count the beef, of course. You have to count the cheese if you use something that's not fat-free. You have to count the French fries and ketchup. On Simply Filling, I used a Hungry Girl Fold It, which was Simply Filling. I used 93% ground beef, which is Simply Filling. I used a fat-free cheese slice, Simply Filling. I made my own potatoes out of russet potatoes, Simply Filling. And ketchup is Simply Filling, or a no-count food as long as you use it not excessively. So I feel like if you were to count beef, if you were to count that meal, let's say, the bread would be at least 3 points. The meat would probably be 4 points. So that's 7 right there. Then a potato, I think, is 4 points as well. So you're up to, 11 points? Or you could have it all on Simply Filling. I don't know why, but I was surprised that I had never thought to make cheeseburgers on Smart Points. But then I thought, well, it's probably because I didn't want to have to count all of the individual things because it would add up to so much. On Simply Filling, you could have an entirely Simply Filling cheeseburger and fries meal. Oh my gosh, mind-blowing. The quinoa taco bake, like I said, was one of my favorites. Rotisserie chicken with anything. I mean, that was really easy. That's a quick last-minute meal if you need an idea. The burritos that I made were really good. The meat that I chose was not Simply Filling, but you could easily do it that way. But even then, it was 2 points for the meat that I used. So that was really delicious. I made my own cilantro lime brown rice, which is Simply Filling, and it was simply freaking awesome. So yeah, I hope that you guys, if you have not tried Simply Filling, do some more research into it. I know a lot of people were scared to do it, and I understand the reasons why, but if you've had enough time on Smart Points and you just want to see what happens changing it up a little bit, you're still in Weight Watchers. This is not a it's not yo-yo dieting. It's not what's the word? A flipper. You're not flipping back and forth from diets of any kind. You're doing Weight Watchers. You're just doing a different technique within Weight Watchers. And it's not to say that you could do Smart Points, if you wanted to do Simply Filling Monday through Wednesday and Smart Points Thursday through Sunday, you could do that. It's all under the same Weight Watchers umbrella, which I love. So, what my future plans are, I love Simply Filling, and I want to continue it at least for a month total. So I'm going to be doing 2 more weeks at the very least of Simply Filling. I'm sure I will have Smart Point days in there because sometimes Smart Points just works better. It's just a better idea depending on what you have going on in your life. So that is my plan though. I'm going to be mostly Simply Filling for at least the next 2 weeks or whatever would make a month. We did start on March 6th. So yeah, Simply Filling to finish out the month with some Smart Point days in there if I need them. And we will see what a month can do on Simply Filling. I've done a month on Smart Points. I've done 13, 14 months on Smart Points. I want to see what a month on Simply Filling can do for me because 2 weeks already, not only in the weight loss, but how I was feeling and how mentally it's so different was a huge change from, the year previously on Smart Points. And I love Smart Points. I love Weight Watchers. I love the program. But it's Simply Filling is really, really great. So I hope you guys have the opportunity to try it. Definitely go check out everybody else in this collab. I will link everybody's channels below. I will also link the Simply Filling Facebook group that I joined in part of my preparation and my research and the 2 weeks on Simply Filling because it answers a lot of questions. please, if you are doing Simply Filling, check the list first. Don't use the scanner. The scanner is not, you know, the Bible. Scanner, it does not always work. Like 90% of the time it doesn't work. So look it up in the tracker or look on your food list first. If you cannot find it on there, then ask a question. If you can't find it in those two places, then ask a question. Or if you're on that Facebook group, search for your question first. Don't ask it. And I'm stand fully behind how they run that group. There's no point in asking the same question 45 times if it has been answered and answered thoroughly. You know, the work has already been done, so there's no point in reinventing the wheel, as they say. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this collab. Please check everybody out. Let me know if you try Simply Filling and if you're successful on it, as well as any kind of food find or whatever that you've come across that's maybe new and different, hasn't been talked about a lot. Like this video. Subscribe if you're coming from the other ladies' channels and you want to hang around a while. I would love to have you. And that is all. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!